How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Devoted Christians. I'm Pastor Josh, and I hope you're all doing well today. This past week in my studies, I was studying chapter 12 of Hebrews, verse 11 and 13. And that passage particularly stuck out to me this week, especially 12 and 13. And I kind of wrestled with the text a little bit, and I wanted to know what that meant, what it means to actually lift your tired hands or strengthen your hands, and what this weekend of knees means. And so we're going to dig into Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11 to 13. No discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful later on. However, it yields to the fruit of peace and righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your tired hands and weakened knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be dislocated, but healed instead. Okay, so let's first look at the first verse, all right? Verse 11, it says, no discipline seems enjoyable at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it yields the fruit of peace and righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Okay, so what does that even mean? We have to look at this word discipline. It is actually paideia in Greek, and it means instruction or discipline, okay? We get our discipline or our instruction from God. We have to be able to lean on God because we'll be trained by Him, by God, by looking at Christ's life to get righteousness, to be more righteous, okay? We are never fully righteous, but we become righteous through Christ, and we follow the righteous path through Christ, and that's only through the instruction that we get from Christ to be disciplined by Christ, okay? So that's a mouthful, but that's exactly what this is talking about. We get the discipline and our instruction from Christ. First comes our instruction, then comes the discipline to do it. We cannot do anything without Christ and without relying on Him, okay? We have to rely on God, all right? If we don't rely on Him, we cannot be disciplined to do other things in our life that are mandatory for the Christian walk, such as being able to not go to a party where we know that there's going to be partying, alcohol, drugs, all kinds of things. We have to be disciplined to say no, okay? Oftentimes we feel great. We can look back and we can say, oh, I'm doing so well in my walk with Christ. I'm doing so good. We can do that. We can look at that and we can become like that, and we can be happy of where we've come from. But it's going to hurt eventually. It's going to hurt to be able to tell those people no. And we have to stand firm. And they're going to egg on, and they're going to say, why not? Come on, Josh, you can come to the party. And you have to be able to say no, okay? It takes a godly person to be able to say no and to stand firm on God's word and to be disciplined through the instruction that Christ gave us, okay? This next verse, which says, therefore strengthen your tired hands and weakened knees, okay? Tired hands is taken from the Greek word parami. I believe I'm saying that right. If I'm not, forgive me. But I believe it's parami, and it actually means weak or limp. And the context of which this verse is used, it actually means relaxed, okay? So our weakened hands become relaxed. What does that mean? It means that we become content. We sit in this place of contentment in our Christian walk where we don't strive to be better like Christ. We're just happy that we're saved. We're just happy of where Christ has put us, and we don't want to go share the gospel. We don't want to read our Bibles at home. We don't want to put on worship music and worship God in our own time. Okay? We want to do those things where everybody can see us, and that doesn't make us a believer. What makes us a believer is being disciplined to do those things. I'm not saying that makes you a believer 100%, but that also grows your fruits, which is what we're talking about, is the fruit by which you are righteous, okay? How do you produce fruit? To produce fruit, you have to feed yourself. You have to feed yourself with God's word. And that's what this is mean. It's saying that those who become weak are content with their walk. They don't want to better themselves. They don't want to strive for being Christ-like. They're just happy with where they're at in their walk with Christ. We have to overcome this. Where do we get our strength from? We get our strength from God. God strengthens us and enables us. But it's a two-part series. We can't just 100% rely on God and not put a foot forward to do it. We have to pray to God and ask Him, God, give me the energy to be able to do this. And eventually, you're going to keep praying this, keep praying this, keep praying this, and eventually it's going to come true. Okay, you have to stop being content with your walk with Christ. We have to push forward. We have to get our strength from God when we wake up every morning, okay? Verse 12, it says the knees are talking about kneeling in worship. This weak knees is talking about kneeling in worship, okay? We stop worshiping God because we're content with what we're doing. We become paralyzed in our faith, and actually this word, weak, which is used for weak knees, is paraluo, and that actually means paralyzed. So we become paralyzed in our Christian faith because we're content with what we're doing. And we have to stop, and we have to look at the instruction that Christ gave us, and we have to be disciplined by what Christ is doing. We have to be good stewards of our time. We have to be good stewards of everything that we're doing in our lives so that everything else falls in place. And lastly, this last verse is verse 13, and it says, and make straight paths for your feet so that and make straight paths for your feet so that what is lame may not be dislocated but healed instead. Okay, so we're looking at these straight paths. I think that's pretty straightforward, the straight paths for our feet. You know, I was thinking about whenever you get a big car, a big truck, and you're driving through the mud, and it leaves those tracks in the mud. Okay, you don't want to take a little Toyota and drive in those tracks and then try to steer off, because you're going to mess the car up. And that's what we do with our Christian lives. We mess our lives up because we want to steer off track a little bit. And we don't want to do that. We want to stay focused on what God is doing in our lives. All right, so what is lame may not be dislocated, but healed instead. Okay, this word dislocated is actually ektripo, and the Greek word means dislocated or stray after or to turn away. God will turn away from us whenever we go into sin, and that's truth. He will just let the sin consume our lives if we're believers and non-believers, but mostly believers, I believe. He'll just let it consume us and consume us and consume us until we're either dead or until we come back to Him to be healed. The only person that can heal us is Christ. Who can heal us? Christ can heal us. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope that you learned something from this, and then I hope that you're able to take this with you further along in your walk with Christ. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And I'd like to challenge you this week. Read chapter 12 of Hebrews and let me know in the comments below if you got the same thing that I got out of verse 11 to 13 in chapter 12. All right, guys, this is Josh signing out. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with everybody. We need to share the love of Christ, and we need to share the truth, guys. I hope you have a great day. God bless.